مصاحبه های سیمای آزادی با نمایندگان پارلمان اروپا و شخصیت های شرکت کننده در کنفرانس همزمان با روز جهانی حقوق بشر.
Thank you very much, Mr. Zalimas, for being with us. First of all, you were in the meeting today about Iran on the Human Rights, International Human Rights Day. How was the meeting? What are your feelings about the meeting?
I think we had a very open, friendly and warm atmosphere in which the ideas have been exchanged also on the occasion of this day, because when we have International Human Rights Day, of course, we should think about those who defend human rights. I mean, just in place, like in Iran. And we have to also to pay attention to the most gravest violations of human rights, also like those unfortunately made in Iran. And on the other hand, there is also a good opportunity to exchange ideas about the future of Iran, about the vision of real democratic Iran, where the authorities are elected by the people, where the people are real master of their state, of their government, and where also the human rights are respected without any discrimination as regards to sex or any other differences.
One of the issues raised in the meeting was the wave of executions in Iran and those political prisoners who are on death row. What would be the right policy for the West, especially the European Union, about to stop these executions?
First of all, we must be fair in assessing those violations, and it is no doubt that under international law they can and must be assessed as crimes against humanity, and therefore we must act accordingly. What does it mean? That all the international community is obliged to fight against such horrible crimes, and through all the possible means. That includes, for example, mobilization of the states within the UN in order to refer the matter to such bodies as the UN Security Council or UN Human Rights Council. It also comprises individual efforts. What I mean that is the crimes against humanity can be investigated by member states which have provisions for universal jurisdiction to apply this jurisdiction disregarding the place and who committed crimes against humanity, and therefore also in respect of crimes committed in Iran. And also, of course, we must support civil society and especially represented by the National Council of Resistance of Iran.
Thank you very much. And lastly, if you were to talk or to speak directly to the Iranian people, what would be your message to them?
Just keep strong, and please remember that history is on your side. So I wish much success in defending human rights and in restoring a real popular democratic rule in Iran.
We thank you very much for being with us. Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Towory, for being with us. First of all, today there were a meeting about Iran on the International Human Rights Day. How was the meeting, and what was the main topic you insisted on in that meeting?
Well, it was a great meeting, great speeches, very strong support from different European Union parties, parliament parties to Iran, and everybody agreed very clearly that we need to have a democracy in Iran. And my opinion, which was shared by many other people, even stronger terms, is that European Union have to choose its side. Iranian mullahs who are killing thousands and thousands of people resisting the illegal rule. You know, these people suffer under the regime, and we are actually supporting it through trade deals and otherwise. And the European Union have to decide which we want to support, the mullahs or the real people of Iran. and we need to push sanctions. This is something we don't want to have a military intervention or anything like that, but we have to support the democratic movement in Iran by hitting the regime with sanctions and also recognizing that the Iranian current government doesn't represent the Iranian people.
Yeah, and there were also in that meeting and also before many conversation about the future of Iran and the alternative which could succeed for the future of Iran. What do you think about the opposition and the alternative to the regime and the plan for the future of Iran?
Well, I think that the only way for Iran to flourish and to become a great nation again is through democracy. Give the people the power to decide on their own faith, based pretty much the human, the normal democratic values that everyone is equal, whether he's a man or a woman, and that everybody has the right for the free speech, for education, the livelihood, but people have to decide, and that's the thing. We don't want to move from autocracy to monarchy. We want to have a democratic Iran.
And lastly, if you were to talk directly to the Iranian people, what would be your message to them?
Well, my message is that we, vast majority of Europeans, support Iranian people, not the mullahs. It's almost the only thing that the European Parliament can agree upon is that Iranian people should have democracy and freedom to decide about their own faith without being killed by the current regime.
We thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for accepting this interview with Sیمای Azadi, Mr. Ellis. So please tell us, today is the International Human Rights Day. So when it comes to human rights, what should have happened inside Iran and what is happening right now?
Well, International Human Rights Day is the day that the international community rises up and says every individual, every human being has rights. They're embedded in international law. They're embedded in basic principles of humanity. These are the exact rights that we are not seeing in Iran right now because the regime is doing everything it can to not only discount but to withdraw those rights through this egregious attack on anybody that's considered to be opposition. And this is why it's so important that we continue to be here, particularly on this day, to speak out and to say to those that are opposing the regime, we're here to support you. You inspire us every day, and we are not going to let your voices be silent.
So about the wave of executions inside Iran right now, why do you think the regime has increased the number of executions?
But you know what? It shows that the voices of the opposition is becoming stronger and more serious. And I think the regime is quite concerned about that. And so they're responding by simply saying, well, we're going to do what we did in 1988. We're going to raise the number of those that are in opposition, political prisoners, and we're going to begin to eliminate them. That's why I think they're doing it. I think they're weak. The regime is weaker now than it's ever been. And the opposition, I think, is as strong as it's ever been. This is why their voices matter inside and outside of Iran.
One of the things that has been very much of concern of dignitaries like yourself is the death sentences issued for the PMOI supporters. We recently had the execution of Behruz Ehsani and Mehdi Hassani. What do you think about that? Why the regime has been sentencing these people to death?
Yeah, I think it's the same thing. It's a regime that's weakening. It's a weakened regime, and they have nothing else to stand on other than trying to intimidate those that are in opposition and that are trying to fight for a better country. And so that scares them, and they have no other tool We've seen this in history with the regimes. They have no other tool other than to turn to executing people without fair trials on trumped-up charges. That's what they do. That's what defines this regime. That's why this regime needs to end, and the international community needs to support that objective, is that this regime needs to end.
When it comes to right now we are at the European Parliament. As someone who has championed human rights for many years, what do you demand that the European countries and, of course, the Western governments should do when it comes to the human rights situation in Iran?
I think there are two things for me. One is to simply raise the profile of what's happening. I'm concerned that not enough people understand the situation right inside Iran right now. And that's really important for Europeans, for parliamentary members, for NGOs like mine to speak up and to raise the awareness of what's happening in Iran, because the atrocities are absolutely mind-boggling to me as to what's occurring. That's point one. Point two is to set out a firm principle that those who have committing these crimes are going to be brought to justice. This is not the type of regime that we should negotiate with, that we should seek some settlement. What this regime needs to be is a regime that's going to be held accountable for the atrocities they've committed against the population of Iran.
And for our last demand, if you have any message to the Iranian people.
I just want to say you inspire me, you inspire all of us because of your bravery, and because despite the fact that you're facing life and death situations, you continue to stand firm in the principles of justice and the principles of fighting back against this regime. That inspires us. We cannot allow you to be alone with your voice. You need to understand that we're here, and we're here because of what you're doing, and we're going to continue to support you day in and day out until this struggle is finished.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ellis, for this interview.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.